You're now listening to the Shoot for Teams podcast with your favorite guys, Dorian and Kyle. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Shoot for Teams podcast. It's your man D Hill, the gift card bandit.
Old man Ross, sweatsuits and fly kicks.
Today we got a special guest. It's one of our longtime buddies, and we're going to talk about what he used to do back in the day. But oftentimes we watch NBA games and we're not thinking about all the ways that these dudes like try to prepare for games, and all the work that they put in for the games, because it's very important for a professional athlete to stay in tip-top shape. And our next guest is an LA native who graduated from Cal State University, Dominguez Hills, with a degree in physical education. He was also a member of the National Strength Coaches Association, the National Basketball Conditioning Coaches Association. He was a strength and conditioning coach for the Los Angeles Clippers for many years. His primary responsibilities were keeping guys like Elton Brand, Darius Miles, Quentin Richardson, just to name a few, in shape, and also structure their workouts and conditioning. So welcome to the podcast, our main man, Johnny Doyle.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. How you doing?
We're doing good, man.
We're good,
Awesome.
Johnny.
That's good. Good.
So Johnny, when did you fall in love with the game?
Wow. I fell in love with basketball like early age. I wasn't the best basketball player, but I did fall in love with basketball early age, and I just love sports in general. So, when I was growing up, there was no social media, no websites, no iPads, things of that nature. So my social media and iPad was going outside and playing sports, playing at the park, shooting hoop, playing flag football in the neighborhood, things of that nature. So yeah, I just fell in love with sports in general. It just wasn't just basketball, but I want to say like probably in the 8th grade, that's when I really, really fell in love with basketball.
Nice. So did you play basketball like during high school or anything like that?
This is funny. I played in high school. I went to Verbum Day. It's an all-boys school, small all-boys school. May have been like 300 students. So at the time when I went there, they were known for basketball. They won all these state championships and national championships. And I just wanted to go to Verbum Day. I was like, I'm going to go to Verbum Day. I'm going to play basketball. I'm going to be a basketball star. And I get to Verbum Day my freshman year. There may have been maybe 90 guys in my freshman class. About 70 showed up for the tryouts for the basketball team. Wow. So all we did for like 2 weeks was run. We didn't touch a ball. We just ran for 2 weeks. And because they had to weed out the guys who wanted it, didn't want it. Right. So I did make the team. And I wasn't that good. I played, but I was like the guy that was like, hey, go foul that guy. And then you foul him. And then they pull you back out the game. Or, hey, play D on this guy for a minute, But I was never really that good of a player. And I knew it. So, but I played my freshman year. And then my sophomore year I played. And then I started playing football, which I should have played football all along because I like football a lot better. I like hitting people, and I just like the contact, and I just love that. So, but I should have probably played football a little, started a little sooner. But I still love the sport, no matter what. I loved it.
What position in football, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh well, I played free safety, linebacker. As I got bigger, they put me on offensive line. I played tight end. I was all over the place. And then my junior year, we won the championship. We went undefeated and won the championship. And then my senior year, we were supposed to win the championship again, but 5 guys got kicked off the football. 5 starters got kicked off the football team for doing something and got caught by the football coach. So that messed up my senior year, but it was all good. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
So you were just out there trying to just hit people.
Yeah, the enforcer.
I play like at linebacker. I play like a rover position, so it's like a free safety. So basically, that's all I did was hit people. So, and I don't know if it was because I was aggressive or because I didn't know the plays. I don't know. So it was one of those.
So from there, Johnny, when did you decide to become the strength and conditioning coach, or how did that transition happen from there?
It's funny. It's like I got out of high school and I didn't know what I wanted to do. To be honest, I mean, I knew I was going to go to school. Was going to go to college. I went to a junior college first. I still had no clue what I was going to do. And a good friend of our family worked at this sports medicine clinic. She was a receptionist at this sports medicine clinic. And I would talk to her about, maybe, what should I do? I don't know what direction to take. And she said, hey, why don't you come by the clinic and see what we do? So I go to this clinic in Inglewood, and the name of the clinic was Curlin and Job Orthopedic Clinic. So you guys probably aren't old enough to remember, but Curlin and Job was probably like one of the most was the most premier sports medicine clinic in the country at the time.
Wow.
So Dr. Curlin and Dr. Job, they took care of the Dodgers and the Lakers. That was their big two sports teams. So I went there to go check out the job, see what it was about. And she said, you should apply. So I applied for a job there, and I got a job there as an aide. And what an aide is you just assist the physical therapist with, taking care of the patients. I had no clue what was going on. I didn't know anything, knew nothing, but I started working there and I really, really enjoyed it. And there was a gentleman that worked there who I'm still friends with to this day. And I met him when I was 19 years old, and I'm 55 now, and we're still good friends.
Wow.
And he was the director of the physical therapy clinic. His name was Clive Brewster, and he brought me in. He hired me, gave me a job. He gave me a job, and like under his tutelage and under his guidance, I kind of figured out, like either I'm gonna go to physical therapy school, be an athletic trainer, or become a strength and conditioning coach. So the strength and conditioning coach kind of just fell into my lap, honestly, because I was putting in my hours to become an athletic trainer. You have to put in X amount of hours under a certified trainer. So we had certified trainers that worked at Curlin and Job. So there was therapists, aides, occupational therapists, strength coach, trainers, exercise physiologists that worked there. And we worked with all of these athletes. And so I kind of lucked up on becoming a strength coach. So it was kind of weird scenario, but it ended up working out. It ended up working out, and it was pretty cool. But that's how I pretty much got started.
Okay.
Nice. So like nowadays, do you think there like certain requirements that you have to do to become a strength and conditioning coach on like any level?
Yes. Like it's changed now. It's so different now. So nowadays, they make way more money than I made than I ever made. And the structure of how organizations, professional teams are structured now, it's totally different. So like in the past, there used to just be, the team doctor, the trainer, the strength coach, and the equipment guy. That was it. There was no assistants. We did everything. Well, now they got a medical director, the physical therapist, the team doctor, the team physio, the team this, so they have so many different components to it. So now, kids ask me sometimes about this, and I tell them all the time. I said, go become a physical therapist. Go get your doctorate in physical therapy. I said, and then if you want to go work for a professional team, go get certified as a strength coach. Maybe go get certified as an athletic trainer. So that way you could get a job, any one of those titles, you could work any one of those titles. So, and if that doesn't work out for you, you can always fall back and go do physical therapy. My wife's a physical therapist here in Las Vegas, and she does well. She used to work in an outpatient clinic, and now she works in NICU. She just works with premature babies. Like who would ever have thought physical therapy for premature babies, right?
Right.
And she loves it. She loves it. So, it's so many different avenues you could take to get there now. And but it's highly competitive. I mean, if you think about this, and I failed to realize this at the time, but one of my friends said to me one time, he goes, "You know, you're one of 30 people in this world to have the job that you have." And
Wow.
I was like, man, shut up. I'm like, I'm just a guy from South Central. You know, South Central, grew up in LA, just trying to make it. I never thought about that until he mentioned that to me one day, and I was just like, wow. So I had to stay humble and work hard and grind and I think I got that job because that's what I did. I worked hard. I grinded. I kept my nose to the ground and just stayed to myself and just busted my butt and I think that's how I was able to get that job.
Nice.
Speaking of working hard, how did you or do you motivate the athletes you work with?
That's a tough one, man, because I appreciate that question, and I'm sure every strength coach in America, a trainer or athletic trainer, would appreciate that question. But in my honest and humble opinion, I really believe that it has to come from the athlete,
Okay.
and you have to find a way to motivate them. Yes, but I really believe that it has to come from the athlete. The athlete has to want to do it and want to be there and want to get better. So, and I'll be completely honest with you guys, I don't think I could work in today's NBA. I don't think I would fit because I I think that sometimes I was probably hard on a lot of guys, but they were able to handle it. I don't think the kids today or the young players today, I don't think my personality will really mix with theirs because I'm not I don't like to kiss butt and I don't want nobody kissing my butt. And I'm a straight shooter. I'm not gonna lie to you and fluff you. So yeah, I don't think I will work today. So, but
Yeah.
I really believe that you have to be motivated, self-motivated and I worked for the Clippers, like it was a great time. I had fun, met a lot of good people, but the organization has to be has to it has to allow the players to grow and have to give them hope, make them believe that like, hey, we want you here.
Right.
So a lot of time I was dealing with things like that where it was hard to motivate those guys because they knew, oh, this is just a pass by. I'm just passing by. I'm not going to be here, or things of
Wow.
that nature. So it made the job tougher. No practice facility, no practice facility, in the summers, not be able to go and, visit players and work with them because the organization didn't want to spend the money. Whereas other teams did those things. And because they did those things, they were better. And you could tell the teams that did those things,
I was
you
gonna
know,
say it was a result. Yeah.
yeah. You could tell the teams that did those things and you could tell the teams that didn't do those things. So,
Right.
that made the job tougher because then when it came, hey, how come this guy's not doing this and how come he's not doing that? Well, I can't get it in 6 months. This is a life thing, a lifelong thing. So it was kind of hard. I ain't gonna lie. Well, to answer your question, it was tough.
No, I get it. I get it. It
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
It
It
makes
was really
sense.
tough.
And people need to know that because like you said, the organization, if they don't spend money, you
Right,
see the result when the season starts. All those
right,
teams that do
Exactly.
so bad and guys don't care because they know they're gonna lose,
right.
they're out there getting a check. Makes sense.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's why some things are the way they were.
Got it. Makes sense. It makes sense.
So, like, what are some of the characteristics that you possess that made you a successful strength and conditioning coach? You think, in your opinion?
All right. Well, first of all, I don't think I was successful, and I'm gonna
What?
tell you
Come
why.
on.
No, I'm being honest. I mean, yes, I
Okay.
did have that job, but my honest opinion is that we didn't win. So
I
because we
got you.
didn't win, although I'm battling outside forces, we didn't win. So for me, those losses hurt me just as bad as it hurt the coaches and the players. You know, that it bothered them. It bothered me. Yeah, it bothered you too because you was a fan. So, you know,
It
yeah,
was
you
tough.
know, so yeah, you know, it's tough, and people, people don't realize that. Like it took a toll. You know, I don't know from where I come from. From the program I came from, like in high school, and then, you know, it was like almost like a Raider mentality, like a commitment to excellence. Like you gotta win, and you gotta do whatever it takes to win, and da da da. And my one of my coaches in high school, strength coach, he used to say, "What if you would have held that block 5 more seconds? What if you would have put 2.5 pounds on that dumbbell rack? That probably would have been the difference." Well, I don't know if I made the difference. In my opinion, I think I've touched some guys and helped them along the way, but I don't really believe that like I made that much of a difference for us to win. And so it's kind of tough to say to answer that. But like I said, I had outside forces, but I'm not going to blame it on that. And it is what it is.
Hey man, in my eyes, you were successful, bro. Like I
Yeah.
get where you're
Thanks.
coming from. I get
Yeah.
where you're coming from with that aspect. I never even actually thought of that.
Right.
But yeah, man, like I remember when I first met you, I was like, he's what? Like he's the strength and
Yeah.
conditioning coach, because you don't oftentimes meet somebody that's a strength and conditioning coach for a professional team. And like you said,
Right.
like you're from the inner city and
Right.
you look like us, like and
Right.
you're doing well for yourself. And I was always just like in awe of that,
Yeah.
like
Well,
man,
thanks,
Yeah.
man.
It was dope.
yeah,
It was dope.
Well,
You
the
just
funny thing about that is like like you guys were in awe of it, and some other young, brothers and in the inner city that I knew and I had connections with, they were in awe of it. So and then to be honest with you, I got more pride in that, trying to touch those lives, and like giving you guys the experiences to come to the games and those
yeah.
things. Like I got more of a kick out of that. Like that was my rush per se.
uh,
Like because the wins weren't coming. So
We
whenever I got the
know.
win, winning 17 games out of 82 games, so but when the
Bro.
wins came, that was my rush, but the other times it was like the things that I would do in the community. I would go to to community things, and when they dedicated parks and things like that, that I enjoyed that because it was in my community.
right.
So that was like probably like some of the biggest joys I got out of it. When it wasn't a win. So
Right.
Right, for sure.
yeah.
Did you, Johnny, going back to the players, have a particular coaching style or method that you had working with the guys, or it was
Yeah, I tried just think of it like this. It's like you had 12 girlfriends, right?
that's a lot
They're
of
all different.
girlfriends.
Yeah, it's a lot of girlfriends, right? So at the time, there was 12 players, and then they added 15-player rosters. So every person was different. So you had to cater. You had to be a chameleon. You had to cater to every individually separately. So you may have one guy. I would have one guy. That's all he wanted to do was bang weights. He wanted to be a bodybuilder, I thought. And then you had another guy like they'll come to you try to sit down and talk to him. He would tell you, he's like, Johnny, I don't like lifting weights. I said, but you have to do something to maintain. So we're here. So every guy was different. You had to structure different things for different people. You had some guys that didn't want to lift weights. You had some guys that wanted to work out. You had some guys that hated you because you made them do it, and that made you do it.
Man, that's
And
crazy.
yeah, and all I would always try to tell them is like, hey, look, I would tell them, I said, this isn't your last stop. I said, the object of the game is the next contract. I would tell them that all the time, especially because we always drafted rookies. So I'm like, hey, you got 4-year deal here, 3-year deal. I said, the object of the game is year 4 and 5. Let's get you paid.
Yeah.
So get you paid, you got to build your resume. So, hey, I said, Miami Heat come calling. Their strength coach is going to call me and ask me, what kind of guy is Kyle? What kind of guy is Dorian? Hey,
Wow.
he don't like working out. He don't like doing this. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie because that's my reputation on the line. So that's what happens. They call coaches, they call general managers, and they find out what's going on. Like, what kind of guy is this guy? Does he like to work? He don't like to work? Really? What does he do about it? So, you have to, I used to have to try to coerce those guys into what their motivation was. So if it was to get a 50-year deal, get a new contract, get 60 million, whatever. Hey man, let's get down, grind down and get it. That's I hate to say that, but that's what I use for motivation.
That's the truth.
Some
That's
strength
the
coaches
truth.
some strength coaches probably in Phoenix and nowadays in Lakers and those winning teams in Milwaukee, they probably don't have to do that because their players' eyes are on bigger goals, and that was to win championships.
Right.
So yeah. So
Okay.
that was why I tried to motivate them usually. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like for you saying that the other strength and conditioning coaches, you guys all talk, like that's stuff
Yes.
that that happens all the time. But like as fans, as a casual fan, I should say, like we don't think about that. Like,
No.
and then you wonder why these trades don't go through, and it's like maybe that was one of the reasons.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. This is funny. Is funny story is I never forget for the draft, we prepared this giant book for the draft. We go to the pre-draft camp, you try to talk to these guys, we bring guys in for workouts. So we prepare. So the day of the draft, you have this huge book and, everybody has a section that they have to do. And you have to call and interview coaches. So my job was to call the strength coaches. And the most impressive strength coach interview I ever had was for Dwayne Wade.
Wow.
And I'll never forget this as long as I live. I called the strength coach, introduced myself. Hey, Coach Johnny, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. I would ask these questions. They were typical questions I ask every strength coach. But the one question I would ask in the end every time, I go, Coach, you have kids? Yes. Or if they said no, oh, okay. Well, if you had kids, would you let player XYZ babysit your kid?
Wow.
So I asked the strength coach at Marquette that, and he laughed. He said, my son is with Dwayne right now. And his kid, because he had a son then at the time his son was born. So he said, yeah, he said, my son is with his son right now. Wow. And that blew my socks off. I was like, wow, okay, so he's a good guy. And look, he's pretty much had a scandal-free career, and
absolutely,
he's a good guy, and he got good things going on for him, and so that really like held true. And I had some strength coaches say, no, that Johnny, that guy's a piece of what, I wouldn't draft him, like I couldn't stand him, and obviously you got to take, that's all weighted, but that I thought that was the most impressive thing I heard. And so when we go to the draft, we had these meetings before the draft. And what was the one guy that impressed you the most? I said, Dwayne Wade. Oh, well, we can't get him. Like they knew they weren't going to get him because they knew he was going to be off the board early. I think that year we had like maybe, I can't remember, 13th pick or something like that. I can't remember. But they knew, they was like, oh, no, we won't be able to get him. He'll be long gone. But
yeah, he went early. He went
was
early in that draft, right?
He went early, really early. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool when that strength coach said that about him.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Sticking with the strength and conditioning stuff, you kind of alluded to it earlier, but like, do you think like the new technology is affecting the way that the new strength and conditioning coaches do their job, like in today's game or society, however you want to?
Yeah, I think they got a lot of neat stuff. They got a lot of. I'm a gadget guy, and they got a lot of good gadgets and toys and all of that stuff. And it's pretty cool. And I think these players now are better. I think they're better athletes. and they're better players, and they're faster, and they're definitely bigger and stronger and more athletic. And you like look at Giannis for example. I mean, like that he's a freak of nature. Like if you look at his body, from where he came from when they drafted him to now, I mean, that's work, man. That's
Yeah.
nothing else but work. That's nothing but hard work, and I'm sure they have a really good strength coach there, and I'm sure he has people that he worked with as well, in the off season. So yeah, I think that the technology and is so much more now involved with strength training now than there ever has been, and I think it's going in the right path. It's going in a great path, and it's a good thing. It's really good.
Nice. Yeah, we need to get on those gadgets because me and Kyle are both gadget guys.
We
We
love
try to
it.
figure out a way
We
to
love it.
like combine
Yeah,
gadgets and basketball somehow.
yeah,
We,
yeah,
Just
we
spark
love it.
something for us.
exactly.
And when we're watching games now, we see guys with the massage guns on the side, and they have the
Yeah, yeah.
iPads, and it's just crazy how all that
Yeah.
stuff is available for them. They're
All
looking at
that
plays
technology.
as soon as they come out of the game. They're like, "Oh, let me
It's
change
crazy.
this." It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy. I literally remember like I think my first year was like in 93. Well 91. And I literally remember like there was a coach, head coach, two assistant coaches, the trainer, myself, and the equipment guy. 6 people and one PR person. And the radio guy, which was Ralph Lawler. They didn't really have a TV deal then. And that was it. We were the 8 traveling party. That was it. And the players. Like
Wow.
now, like I spoke to Keith Jones with the Rockets. I keep in contact with him. He's a good friend of mine. He actually hired me to be the strength coach with the Clippers. And he's like, Johnny, I gotta get like 3 buses now, sometime 2 planes, to get all of these people, to where we gotta go. So it's I don't know if I could have dealt with that. It's just too much, man. It was
Too
just
much,
too
huh?
much. But yeah, it's just too much, man. And it was a fun times and fun job. But you know, the thing that people don't really realize or know is that you're not home.
Right.
You're not
Travel.
home. So like if you're a young person, like like your guys' ages, and you guys, you guys just got married and you're starting to have families and things of that nature. That's kind of hard. Like, can you imagine Dorian not being around your son for like 3 or 4 days, let alone
Nah,
10 days? You know what I
nah.
mean?
That's tough.
And not
That's
seeing your
tough.
wife, Kyle not coming home to have dinner with your wife, or you missing her birthday.
Yeah.
So
That's
Oh,
tough.
after a while, you gotta have to sit back and go, is this all worth it? And should you, you know, I kept telling myself 7 years and I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. But every year they kept coming back, handing me 2-year deal, 3-year deal, without asking. And it's hard to turn the money away. So I think, the Clippers released me and they wanted me to take a pay cut, like a $20,000 a year pay cut to hire someone else to help me, which I was okay with somebody helping me, but I didn't want to give them 20,000 of my money,
no.
So, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, so they let me go, and to be honest with you, it was like the weight of the world was lifted off of my shoulders,
Wow, I
because
bet.
now I was like, I could do what I want to do, and I was able to enjoy life. Now I'm home for Christmas, I'm home for Thanksgiving, I don't miss my wife's birthday, I'm home Valentine's, I'm home every night to have dinner with my wife. So
Nice.
that's important to
Important
me.
things. Important things.
Yes, which is the important thing. So, either if you're a player or assistant coach or a head coach, uh, and the casual fan is watching it on the sideline, it's a lot more that goes behind it than what you see.
Yeah.
It's a huge sacrifice. I don't know what the numbers are like now, but I do know back then 50% of coaches ended up in divorce.
Mm.
So
Wow.
yeah, that means strength coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches. It's not easy. So
Yeah.
it's a lot that goes behind it, a lot of stress that goes behind it.
And that's why we started this platform to talk to people like yourself, to explain and
Right.
tell people it's not just basketball players. They just see one side of it, but you're telling
Yeah.
a different side. So and people need to
Yeah.
know that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I'm giving an example, like a typical day. So we had say we had a 10 o'clock shoot around. If we had a 10 a.m. shoot around, normally I would get there like hour to 2 hours before, and then you're there for shoot around, and then you're at the Staples Center, so you don't want to drive back home. I lived in a marina, so you didn't want to drive home because of traffic. So you have paperwork to do, or work some guys out, or do whatever, and then you eat lunch, and then you try to get a workout in, and maybe do some other stuff, and the next thing you know, it's time for the game. So by the time I got home every night, it was midnight. So I would leave my house, 7 o'clock in the morning, when we get home till like after midnight,
Damn.
So yeah, but the caveat to that is I didn't have to do much in the summer because nobody stayed in LA, and my
Right.
team wouldn't send me out to go work with players. So in the summer, I would just go to the office for a few hours, and I would leave. I call players, check up on them, things of that nature. Like a lot of players, like Quinn and Darius worked out with Tim Grover in the off season, and that was Michael Jordan's guy. He's a nice guy, really good guy, and worked with a lot of players. I would go there once a year to Chicago because that was a pre-draft, and I would go over there and watch the workouts. And he would do a great job with them. And he had like Chris Kaman, he had Quinn and Darius. He had a couple of other Clipper guys that would go by, Bobby Simmons. So and I would go and watch and stuff. And he was always like, "Hey, Johnny, come back anytime in the summer. You could come help me out." But the Clippers never wanted to pay for me to do that. They never wanted to pay. There was a strength coach in Detroit with the Pistons, Arnie Canner. He's probably like the premier strength coach in the NBA. He's really good. I liked a lot of the stuff he was doing because of my background working at Curlin and Joe at the physical therapy clinic. He did a lot of things that was practical exercises, for players, and I always wanted to go back there and just go learn. You could never not learn enough. So I would pick strength coaches' brains all the time. We did that all the time. And I used to want to go there, and Alvin Gentry was our coach, and he was the coach of the Pistons prior. So he said, "Johnny, next summer we're sending you to Detroit. You're going to go hang out with Arnie. I think it'll be good for you. You guys hit it off pretty good." I say, "Yeah, great, man. I'd love to do that." Clippers didn't want to pay for me to go. Like, why wouldn't you pay to try to make your organization better?
Right.
Like that was frustrating thing, like really, really frustrating thing. So, a lot of times, if people don't understand why those players were frustrated, like back in the day, that is why, because they didn't do all that they could do to try to make them better.
It shows.
Wow.
It shows.
And those players knew that. They knew that. So it was told to me by a player, this is just a stop through. Everybody that come here is just stopping through to get the next contract.
But that's what it seemed like, though.
Yeah. Hence why guys wasn't passing the ball. Guys were just jacking up shots, trying to do their own thing because they're trying to showcase. They're trying out for the next team. So,
wow.
yeah.
So Johnny, stay with the Clippers. How did you get your start with them? You mentioned it briefly with the gentleman from the Rockets. But how did you get your?
So I had I wanted to be a strength coach. No, I wanted to get in. So I called Keith Jones. He was a trainer with the Rockets.
Okay.
And well, let me back up. It's a gentleman named Chip Schaefer. Chip Schaefer was a trainer at Loyola Marymount. Well, he worked with me at Curlin and Joe. Well, I used to go to Loyola Marymount and help Chip out to try to get my hours in to become an athletic trainer. Well, Chip gets a job with the Chicago Bulls as the head athletic trainer. So he goes to Chicago. He goes, "I'm gonna try to get you a job here." He said, "I don't know what, but we'll figure it out." I didn't get a job there. They wanted to hire a guy that's been helping them out for a while. And so they hired him, and that's fine. And the guy's still there to this day.
Damn.
So
Wow.
they hired him, and he's still there. He wasn't even a strength coach. Actually, he was an equipment guy. Chip just wanted to get my foot in the door. So that didn't happen. So he goes, call Keith Jones. He doesn't know anyone in LA. He's going to need some help. And I called him, so I would go over there to the Clippers and help on game days and during training camps. I would always go and help him out, taping guys, stretching, making ice bags, picking up towels, whatever he needed, I did it. And then one year I go to training camp and their strength coach quit, like at the last minute, like before the season started, he quit. So he goes, hey, we're gonna need a strength coach. And I go, oh, okay. He said, you've been doing it. You want to do it? And I go, I don't know if I could do it. He said, you could do it. Take the test. Go take the test. You ready? So I took the test and I passed the test. And he goes, I'm gonna get you in. And I go, yeah, I don't know. More apprehensive about making a change, being afraid, basically. So
Of course.
I get in. One day I go to training camp. I go to training camp, and Bill Fitch was the coach. And man, he was a nice guy, but the hardest person I ever worked for. But learned a lot from him. But he says one day we're sitting at breakfast during training camp, and it was the coaches, the general manager, Elgin Baylor, the vice president of the organization, and we're just sitting there, and Keith, and I'm literally putting like some bacon in my mouth, and he goes, so Johnny, we're about to interview you for the strength coach's job. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah. So they literally like interviewed me right there on the spot for the strength coach's job. So so they interviewed me. Training camp ended. I go back. So Bill Fitch says, hey, look, we're going on the preseason and we're not going to take Stanley Roberts with us. He's not in shape. We want him to come work out with you. Could he come work out with you? So I was still working at Curlin and Job, and I said, yeah, sure, he could come in. And I talked to Clive. I said, hey, Clive, do you mind if Stanley comes in and I could work him out, in between? He said, yeah, Johnny, no problem. So I brought Stanley in. So like I said, you have to motivate people differently. And Stanley's motivation was, I told him I needed this job.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's the kind of guy he was. He's like one of the nicest players I ever worked with in my life, ever. Had all the talent, but just, he didn't love basketball. He loved the money, but he didn't love basketball. So I said, Stan, if I get you to lose some weight and get you in better shape, I said, I think they're going to hire me. And he goes, okay, I'm doing this for you. He told me that. So he came to the clinic twice a day. I would go to his house on the weekends. We work out at his house on the weekends. And they were gone for like 10 days. He came back. I weighed him every day, took his body fat. He lost weight. He was in better shape. And they saw what I did. And Bill was like, hey, good job. I didn't think you was going to be able to get him to show up. And so one day I'm walking in the last preseason game and I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm not interning here no more. I'm done. I'm not going to, I got to figure something out. And the PR guy walked by me and he goes, hey, how do you spell your last name? And I said, Doyle. He goes, I said, why? He said, oh, they're going to put something in the paper tomorrow. They're going to hire you as a strength coach. I was like, oh, really?
Just
he
like
goes,
that,
yeah.
didn't say nothing.
Yeah, nobody said nothing. I'm like, oh, okay. So, I try to be cool about it, but, inside I'm like, yeah, so I walk into the locker room and the trainer goes, hey, we're going to hire you as a strength coach, So it worked out pretty good. And I never forget, he said, I said, how much does it pay? I asked him, how much does it pay? He said, they're going to offer you this. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, yeah, that tripled what I was making already. So I said, wow, cool. He goes, but you're going to tell them no. I go, what? He said, tell them no. He said, you tell them, why would you give up a job that you have for a job for a 1-year contract because they wanted to give me a 1-year deal. And I said, that's not going to work. He said, it'll work. So I talked to Elgin Baylor and I said, Elgin, thank you, but no thanks. I can't take this job because I'm secure in my job. And, you know, I can stay there as long as I want without worrying about contracts. And okay. How about 3-year deal? And we give you this much. And I go, well, how about this much? And he goes, because Keith coached me through it. And he said, okay. He said, okay, all right, we'll do that. And
Just like that.
I
Wow.
was like, oh, like, yeah. Then I looked, I said, dang, I underbidded myself. I should have asked for more money. But
right.
yeah.
That's
what happened.
That's cool.
That's a dope story, man.
It worked out pretty good.
Man, and you went from being scared like we all are when change comes your way to going to talk to Elgin Baylor, who is a legend as far as basketball goes, and you're in there negotiating your rate and your future with that guy. That's crazy, man.
With the legend, because that's what I always call him, the legend. Legend.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, he was the nicest guy too, man.
You still talk to him or you still speak?
Well, if I'm talking to him now, Kyle,
right,
I'm in heaven. But yeah, I saw him like maybe like
My bad.
2 years. I saw him like 2 years ago and had a good conversation with him. You know, he's a nice guy, man. He was a really good guy. You know, smart guy. Like they didn't give him credit for a lot of things, but he's really smart guy. Didn't have a bad bone in his body. Very spiritual and religious man. Very family oriented man. He was a good guy, man. It was sad day when he passed. Really sad day.
Yeah. And before we move on, can you just tell our audience the time period that you were with the Clippers?
So from 93 to
there you go.
Yeah, I mean 91 to 03, 2003. Yeah.
That was a nice little run.
That was a pretty good run, yeah. It's 13 years and like 8 or 9 coaches. That's a pretty good run. Yeah.
8 or 9 coaches.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good run. So yeah, I think I'm more proud of that than surviving all of the coaches than anything. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so with your time with the Clippers during that whole time period, do you have like a favorite player or any couple favorite players that you like to work out with?
Besides Stanley, because you mentioned Stanley Robinson.
Right.
Yeah, I like Stanley. Stanley was my guy. I didn't like working him out, but he was my guy. He was a great guy. I mean, you'll never find anybody say anything bad about the guy. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed working out with Charles Outlaw, Bo
nice.
Outlaw.
Oh,
but,
wow,
because he was a challenge because he and I were born around the same time, so we almost had the same personality. So we always challenged each other, and we're both stubborn. And he was always a joy to work with because he loved it. He wanted to do it. One of the I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna say he's my favorite, but he's right up there. But one of my favorite guys to work with was Malik Sealy. And
rest in peace.
Yes, definitely. He was one of my favorite guys, and I'm gonna tell you why, because he listened to me. Like one summer, like he came from the Indiana Pacers. So the Pacers, that was a model organization. They did things right there. And he was a smart guy, and he saw how they did things, and he knew what he needed to do to get better. So he asked me, he said, Johnny, one summer, he said, I need to get stronger. I need this, this, and this. I go, yeah. He goes, what do I need to do? I said, you need to stay here in LA. Don't go back to New York because you partying, hanging out. I said, give me a chance. I said, give me a chance. He said, okay. He said, 6 o'clock. I met him every morning at 6 o'clock. Every single morning at 6 o'clock. He did not miss. I mean, when I mean he did not miss, like, we may go out to dinner the night before and maybe in like a late dinner. And I'm like, oh man, you want to bump this to 8? No, I'll see you at 6. And he would be there. He would beat me there. You know, he would beat me there.
Wow.
And he wanted to get better. and it was so unfortunate when he passed because he was about to get paid. Minnesota was going to pay him, so he leaves the Clippers, goes to Minnesota, and he played well in Minnesota.
Yeah, him and KG, right?
Yeah, him and KG.
Yeah.
Yep, and he played really well, and then unfortunately get into a car accident and he passes. So he was one of my favorite. But then I had a lot of guys along the way, like no particular order, like Earl Boykins. He's like 5'3", 135, probably pound for pound the strongest guy in the league.
Wow.
He was one of my favorite guys, and we had a crew. It was Earl Boykins, a guy named Obina Ikezi that played at Maryland, a big guy, and a guy named what was his name? Sean Jameson. Not Sean Jameson. I can't remember the guy's name, but he played football at Clemson, and he was a basketball player. And the four of us would work out all the time. Like I would always tell them, you guys got to stay ready, stay ready, stay ready, stay ready. And these guys, we would go to the arena like an hour and a half before the bus left the hotel for the first bus. We would catch a cab, walk, whatever, and we would get to the gym and just work out, like doing drills, lifting weights, and stayed ready. Just kept those guys ready, kept them ready, and they were a joy to be around. Like we had fun, I made it fun for them, and they enjoyed it, and they never wanted to miss. And those guys were really a lot of fun to work with. I came really close with Rodney Rogers. He didn't like to work out that much either, but he was he had so much God-given talent, and and it's unfortunate what happened to him because he's paralyzed from the neck down. Yeah, I talked to him like 2 weeks ago. I do talk to him. I talk to him like once a month. Keep in contact with him. He's a good guy. He turned out to be a good friend, and turned out to be a good friend. Throughout his and my career. So we always kept in contact. But it's some of those guys. It's like guys nobody really know about or anything. Like the easy guys, Corey Maggette, easy. He had a body of Adonis. Corey was a nice guy. Always listened to what you had to say, things of that nature. So it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. To be honest, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade that part of my life for anything. It was cool, pretty cool.
Oh, okay, we're gonna put you on the spot then. What about
let's go.
Least favorite player that you had to train or work out? Yeah,
Michael Olowokandi.
That's not hard to imagine.
Now the funny thing is, normally in most cases I wouldn't throw people under the bus, but you know what? I own my own business now. I'm doing okay. I'm not in the basketball world. He was by far the biggest, hardest person to work with, by far. Like him.
Wow.
Love this guy. Love him to death. Still talk to him to this day. Keith Kloss. Hard to work with.
Man.
Hard to work with. And not because he was thin and skinny, but Keith had other demons. And I think that if he would have corrected those things, or the organization for that matter would have got on top of him and try to help him sooner, he probably could have been a hell of a player in this league. He put it like this: if Keith Kloss played today and was in shape, wasn't drinking, doing drugs, he'd be a stretch four. He would make a lot of money right now.
Yeah.
He was 7'2" and could shoot it and was athletic, but he was 7'2" and 210 pounds.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's thin.
That's wafer thin. So he made it kind of hard to work with him because you knew he had demons working against him. But you know what? By the grace of God, he's doing great now. He's sober. He's doing fine. I talk to him from time to time, and he's a friend. He's a pretty good friend too that I keep in contact with. So yeah, he probably may have been, him and Olowokandi might have been two of the toughest guys to work with.
Cola
by
with
far.
candy. My
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
I had a
yeah,
feeling. I had a feeling that was gonna be the name that you said.
yeah,
Mm,
man.
mm, mm,
Tough one,
mm,
tough one.
mm, mm.
Yeah, tough one.
Man, so you've been like, so you were with the Clippers for a while. Um, was the Sean Livingston injury one of the worst that you've seen?
Well, that's funny. That summer was my last summer.
No way.
That was my last summer. Yeah. So when that happened that year, I wasn't there, but I was watching the game that night when it
Okay.
happened, and I remember talking to someone that worked for the Clippers, and they told me you could hear him scream throughout the stadium.
Oof.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody really expected him to come back and do the things
Right.
that he did, but I worked with him a little bit that summer, and he was the nicest kid because he was only a kid then at the time. He was like 18
Yeah.
or 19. He was a
Yeah.
nice kid. You saw the potential in him. So who knows how good he could have been, without that injury. But man, he was a solid player. You know, he got some years in, didn't he?
Yeah. He definitely,
Yeah,
and he got some rings too. So
Yeah, got some rings behind it. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I'm glad it worked out for him though, because he was a
yeah.
nice kid. So yeah.
So like, how did you deal with like athletes like when they had like these crazy injuries? Because I know Lamar Odom dealt with a lot of injuries while he
Yeah.
was there. Like, was that a lot more responsibility that was put on your plate?
Well, it, the majority of it was put on Jason Powell's plate, who's still the trainer
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So we worked hand in hand. Like, he would do certain things, and then he would say, "Hey, JD, this is the protocol, or this is the route we're going to go." And then I would take over and do certain things with him. And then most of the stuff, most of my things were done on the back end, and that was as far as like getting them in condition, getting them in shape. Like,
Hmm.
like I hate to say this, but you try to break them almost. You try to make working out with you harder than it would be in the game. So,
Uh,
so I'll give you a prime example. Keon Dooling got hurt one year, and he couldn't do it. He was non-weight bearing. So what do
mm,
we do every day? I say, Keon, do you swim? He said, oh man, I swim like a fish. So that's what we did every day. I put him in the swimming
Mm.
pool at Southwest College, and
mhm.
he would swim, and I would work him out, do these pool exercises with him, non-weight bearing stuff. And when he came back, he was in better shape than he was before.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
dope.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's dope.
you have to find different ways to to work with these guys to certain injuries and what to do with them. Like I remember Lamar, was his right thumb or his left thumb? It was his left thumb. He broke his left thumb. So we had him dribbling and shooting with his right hand because he was all left. He would never go right.
Yep.
So he's like, all right, we're gonna just work on his right. So that's all we did was make him dribble with his right hand, shoot with his right hand, things like that. So you find the ways to getting around circumventing, certain workouts. So like I said before, every guy was different. So you would have to treat their workouts differently. And so the injuries were the same way.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. So you
That's
were there,
dope.
Johnny. Obviously with Donald Sterling. Did you have
Yes.
any issues with him or see? I mean, you don't have to go in the full. Yeah, take a little drink. I know, but how was it just dealing with him on the either day-to-day basis, or did you see
Uh,
what ended up happening with him? Back then, or
all, all that stuff that happened, with him, the NBA taking the team from him and things of that nature. I wasn't surprised, not
mm,
shocked, not one bit. None of that shocked me, not one bit. Um,
okay,
I didn't deal with him on a daily basis. Actually, nobody really dealt with him on a daily basis. He just showed up to the games. He would come to training camp for a day, and come in. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know. I always heard, and I don't know how true this is or not, but if you look at it, if you think about this, what I'm gonna say, it makes sense. Every year, they wouldn't make the playoffs, right? So a third of the league don't make the playoffs, right?
Mhm.
So the third of the league, those teams are supposed to be the teams that are in the middle market, you know, areas, the Milwaukee's, the San Antonios. You don't expect them to make it, right?
Right.
Because of where they're from or where they're at. Well, if you don't make the playoffs, you get profit sharing.
Oh, damn.
So they would get a check every year for X amount of dollars for not making the playoffs. So he would keep. Now look, Mark Cuban even said it. He said Donald Sterling may be the smartest owner in the league because you buy the team. I mean, we probably would buy the team to win, but if
Right.
you got a billionaires playing a game, this is a game to them. Well, you know, hey, he's trying to make money. The man made money every year.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they weren't making money, but he made money every year because he got a profit sharing check. He signed up new people with the hope that the team was going to be better every year. Oh, we got Darius Miles coming in. We got Quinn,
Mhm.
you know, so now people get hyped up about it and, you know, and things of that nature. So, you know, he played it. He played the game right. He did the right things. The guy, he just wasn't the nicest person, you know, come to find out. And he he treated those players as like they were property.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it was all of that stuff that happened. You saw it coming. You know, you saw it coming. And I had friends that worked there up until they sold the team, and they were very hurt, upset. Um, you know, because they busted their butt to try to make the Clippers what the Clippers were becoming. You know,
Yeah.
people started coming to the games. It was hit the clip and all of this stuff, and those people worked really hard. So they were really, really hurt and crushed by what happened. You know, but you saw that coming. I mean, if you didn't see it coming a mile away, something's wrong with you. You know, I'm sure
Right.
the league didn't want him to own that team all along. You know, but you know he had so much money. You know, he made more money in real estate than he did with the Clippers. So
Yeah.
that was a toy to him. That was just a thing to show off to his friends and things of that nature. So it was working there during those times for him, and it really wasn't. It could have. It was frustrating because you see that it could have been a lot better. You know, it could have
Right.
been a lot better, but they didn't want to put the money into it. You know, so I remember they have a practice facility now, but
Mhm.
before I left, we was in the process of planning out the practice facility. And right away, well, we can't put that in there. We can't do that. We can't have that. I said, well, you got to have those things because you have to make it enticing for the players to come in. You know, if you don't make it enticing for them to come in, how are we going to keep them? So we have
Mhm.
to spend a little money, guys, if y'all want to win. You know, so I think it's great that Ballmer owns the team. I think he's doing a lot of good things with the organization. What I don't like is none of my friends work there anymore, but you know, they all
Wow.
lost their jobs, you know, but that happens when new ownership comes in, especially when the old regime sucked, you know,
Right.
so you know that happens. But yeah, he wasn't. Donald Sterling is a different guy, man. Just I mean, if we had 3 more hours of this podcast, I could tell you guys a lot of crazy stuff, man. But he's a different guy, man. Probably about as different as any person I ever met before in my life.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
saying a lot.
And
yeah.
he's probably Johnny not the only owner like that. He's just the one that got
Fact.
exposed, you know?
He's the one that got exposed. Exactly.
Yeah.
You are so right. You know, like if you look back, you know, he's the reason why there's rent control in Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
He owns Ocean Avenue. He owns those apartments. All those apartments on Ocean Avenue, he owns those. So,
That's
you
crazy.
know, he was raising the rent up all the time. You know, so he's the reason why they have rent control. So he's the guy that got caught. He didn't care. His ego didn't allow. His ego didn't keep him humble.
Mm.
There it is.
You know, his
There it is.
ego didn't keep him humble. So you know that's part of that was part of the deal. You know, he's just a different guy, man. Just totally different guy. I worked there 13 years. He couldn't tell you my name if you
Wow.
know. I've been to his office and had to. At the end of the year, you would have to go to his office and sit down with him, and he would say, "Do you have your business card?" and he sit your business card in front of you. So then he'll look down at the business card and tell you your name, you know. So
Wow.
Johnny, and he would ask you questions like, should I fire the coach? Is
Ask
he a good
you.
coach? Oh yeah. Is he a good coach? Should I fire the coach? Then I would say to him, do you think he's a good coach?
Right.
I said, I think he's a good coach. I just think he needs this, this, and this. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Johnny. Johnny,
Yes.
thank you. You know,
You had to
so
look
yeah,
down.
yeah, you know, but it's kind of intimidating. You go into this, you know, this billionaire's office on Wilshire, and
Yeah.
you know, he's asking you about the organization. Like, you know, is he a good coach? Should we keep our coach? What do you think? What do you think, Johnny? Should we keep? I'm like, well, who are you going to ask about my job next?
Right.
Exactly.
You know, like, you know, so yeah, it's yeah, he was
Crazy.
wife was a lovely person though, really nice lady,
Mhm.
really nice
Okay.
lady, but yeah, really weird dude, man, really weird, like
Well, we
really
see
weird.
when they came out, we saw bits and pieces, so I can only imagine.
Yeah, and you know, the kind of like the pretty, I'm not gonna say cool thing, but I guess the players, they didn't care. But like he would come into the locker room after the game, and like in a professional locker room, the one place that's off limits to everybody except for the training staff is the training room.
Yeah.
So owner couldn't go in there. You know, Elgin would come in there, the coaches, but they wouldn't stay in there long. That was the one place that was off limits. So he wouldn't go into the training room. So the players, when he would walk into the locker room, he would bring these old celebrities, Hollywood celebrities, women, into the locker room. These guys are standing there naked.
Wow.
And, you know, no announcement, no saying, you know, lady coming in, because you would have to announce if a lady reporter was coming in. No announcement. And these guys standing there naked. And they're like, come on, man, are you serious? And they would get up and walk into the training room. And he couldn't go in the training room.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I've heard that before, but I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
True story.
I don't believe it.
damn, man.
I believe it.
Do you? I mean, this is not on any of the questions that we had prepared for you, but do you think like the team would have been different, like if say Balmer was there with you guys, and you know the Clippers had a couple different waves that were like exciting times. Like I think back to when they had like Sam Cassell, Elton Brand, that wave. Then you had Darius Miles, Quentin Richardson, and Lamar
Right.
Odom, that wave, and then CP and Blake and
Yes.
those guys. Like they
Yeah.
had
I think it would
ample man.
they would have won a championship by now. If you think about it, you kept those guys
Yep.
together. You would have kept those guys together. They would have, you know, if you'd have kept that team with Odom, Maggette, Elton, we had a couple of Sean Rooks was a veteran, Derek Strong was
Yep.
a veteran presence. You know, they had those young guys, Keon Dooling. They had to kept those guys together. We probably would have been all right. I remember like once I just ran into him 2 weeks ago, Alvin Gentry, and I was out to dinner with a friend of mine, and we ran into him and at the Bellagio, and he says, I said, Alvin, do you remember you walked into the locker room one day and you said to us, we're going to get fired?
Damn.
I said, do you remember that? He went, I remember that. And the reason why he said that was because they had to sign those guys. So they had to give Lamar extension, Elton, not Elton yet, but Lamar, Darius, Quentin, and Sterling pretty much said, I'm not going to give these guys an extension. So
Wow.
once he said that, Alvin said, one of the players stood up and said, well, I got to go get mine. You guys go get yours because I'm going to get mine. I got to get out of here. And it became a free fall. Guys just started jacking up shots. You know,
Yeah.
Alvin, you know, unfortunately ended up getting let go. And he was a joy to work with. You know, him and Dennis Johnson was assistant coach then at the time.
Yep.
And yeah, they let those guys go. They let Alvin go, and the DJ took over, and they promised DJ the head coaching job. And I think if DJ would have got the job, he would have did well. And they behind his back hired Mike Dunleavy. So
And that was a train wreck.
Not a good guy. Couldn't be
Yeah.
trusted. Not a good guy. You know, but he lied a lot. You know, he was about himself. You know, and anything that I say something bad about somebody, like I just said something bad about Dunleavy, I'll say it to his face right now. He wasn't a good person. So, you know, wasn't a good guy. But yeah, you know, so they, you know, I think if they would have had a bomber back then, he would have did the right thing. I'm not saying that you had to give all those guys money and pay them all, but if you would have kept if you'd have kept a core group of guys together,
Right.
you know, and we had a nice system in place, maybe had a practice facility, things of those natures, you know, they probably could have done something by now. Yeah, I believe so.
Because you
Yeah.
guys were practicing at Southwest, right?
Man, we practice Carson Community Center.
Oh my God.
So if the players wanted to work out, we had to go into the weight room where the community members went. Didn't have equipment to fit them.
That's crazy.
Didn't have equipment to fit them. Didn't have an adequate training room, whirlpool, things of that nature. We went from there, Southwest College. Didn't have adequate stuff there. We had a weight room, but it wasn't like a professional weight room. It was just, they gave us an old classroom and we converted it to a weight room and, you know, things of that nature. And yeah, that wasn't conducive, you know, that wasn't conducive to a professional organization, in my opinion. The locker room, they shared the locker room with the football team. The shower sometimes was hot, sometimes it wasn't. You know, they were supposed to redo the showers over because it, you know, taller. They didn't do that. So with that being said, a lot of guys, they came to practice in their practice gear and they went home in their practice gear.
Wow.
So yeah, it wasn't a professional organization. So hence why they couldn't sign good free agents.
Of course.
But they thought, the owner thought, why wouldn't somebody want to be in California? It's California. We're in Hollywood. We're in Beverly Hills. This is the most beautiful place on earth. Why wouldn't a player? He thought that was enough to lure a player to the Clippers.
They were just going to the Lakers. Because around that time, the Lakers were winning.
Yeah, they was coming to California. They were just going to the Lakers.
Yeah,
exactly.
Crazy. Man,
yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. So Johnny, talk about, you mentioned it a little bit, the transition of you leaving or getting let go or from the Clippers.
Right.
Just talk about that briefly.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Kind of weird. Normally around May, you start talking like season, you start talking about my contract was coming up. Kept going to him, hey, am I coming back? Not coming back? Should I look for another job? No, you're good. You're good. We want you to be here. You're going to be here. You're going to be here. Every month. Hey, what's going on? But if you want me here, I need this contract. I need the contract. Okay, Johnny. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Maybe 2 weeks for training camp. Elgin calls me up. Hey, come down to the office. I need to talk to you. I go, no, I'm not coming down there. I said, I'm not coming down there. He goes, why? I said, because now I'm pissed. I said, I've been asking you for like 4 or 5 months, what's the deal? And now you're calling me? I said, I'm not coming down there. So it won't be nice if I come. So it's, you know, it's best that I don't. And he told me, he said, like, you know, I want you back. Andy don't want you back. He was the vice president of operations, and he and I always butted heads. And Mike Dunleavy. So he said, yeah, you know, Mike wants you to get some help. Andy wants you to take a pay cut or don't come back. I want you back. So I said, well, you know, thanks. I said, thanks, but no thanks. So It was kind of like a blessing. For me, it was. I didn't know what I was going to do or anything like that. But, and don't ask me how I got it. Well, I kind of got into it. I started a dump truck company after that. I think I took like 8 months off. And I went and saw friends I haven't seen in a long time and went on vacation, you know, spent time with my family. And after that, I was like, okay, I got to do something. So I started a dump truck company. And yeah, so that's what I did, you know, and it was cool.
You're your own boss now.
Yes.
That's amazing. Nothing wrong with that.
That's why I'm sitting here right now in the middle of the day doing a podcast.
Right. No, that's cool. That's real cool.
Yeah.
That's real cool.
Yeah. So it's cool. You know, I like this life a lot better.
Of course, man.
There's nothing
Of
wrong
course.
with that. Nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Did you coach anywhere else other than the Clippers during your
Yeah,
career?
it's funny is like I started that business, and then when a recession hit, I sold
Mhm.
everything. I got out, and I moved to Las Vegas. I didn't have a job when I got here, but I just like I'm leaving LA. I wanted to leave. Always
Right.
wanted to leave. Didn't have a chance to, and I said I'm out. I'm gonna move to Las Vegas. I almost moved to Austin, Texas, but I'm glad I came here. And
Yeah, that
when
would
I
have been
got
interesting.
here, huh?
I said that would have been interesting. Austin, Texas is interesting
Yeah,
right now.
yes, it is very interesting. Now I'm like glad I didn't move to Austin. Yeah, but
Right.
so yeah, so I sold my stuff and I got out, and then I got here and I had the best job I ever had in my life.
Mm.
The best job. I worked at the YMCA of Southern Nevada for like
Wow.
6 years. It was the best job I ever had. Like I was a director of a YMCA, and it was the most fulfilling job I ever had. Like because I had all these kids, and all these kids coming in and out, and they would always come hang out in my office. And Mr. Johnny this and Mr. Johnny that, and I was able to impact a lot of kids. So it was almost like when I took the job at the Clippers, Elgin Baylor said to me, "You're not only going to be the strength coach, but you're going to be their mentor. You're
Mm.
going to be the guy they're going to come to. You're going to be you and Keith Jones. You're going to be the guy when they having a bad day or they're and the girlfriend get into a fight. They're going to come to you, and you handle the situation. And if it's something that you can't handle, then you call me. Don't call
Mm.
me. You take care of it. They come to you in confidence and with and trust in you. So when I get that job at the Y, it was like me starting with the Clippers all over again. And it was the funnest job I ever had. I ended up having to coach kids. I didn't want to do that, but sometimes I may have to coach kids. But like now, these kids are 27, 28 years old, having kids of their own, and I go out to dinner with them. I talk to them. I'm friends with them. I've done some business with a couple of them, and it was like, and I see kids all the time that I work with, and not one kid has ever said anything bad to me. All they ever said was thank you. Like
Wow.
you didn't have to do what you did. You know, I see a kid one day at Costco, and he's like, Johnny, hugging me. This is my wife. This is my daughter. And I'm like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you didn't have to do what you did. And I go,
Mm.
what did I do? And he goes, you just don't know what you did. And
Mm.
man, I had to walk away from the kid because I almost started crying. I'm like, man, all
Right.
right, man, later. Because I'm like, you never know, coming from where I come from, I didn't have a lot of people that could have been an impact on my life. But luckily I did. But, you know, I was like, wow, I became that guy for those people, for those young men. So that was like my best job. And then after that, I went and worked in Japan, worked in Japan with a couple of players in Japan, went to Costa Rica and worked in Costa Rica with some kids. That was fun. Then I went to Liaoning, China, which is like 4
Wow.
hours south of Russia, which is like the armpit of China. And I had a great time. I worked with one player. I was hired by Liaoning, which is the Chinese shoe company. It's like the
Yep.
version of Nike in China.
Hmm.
And I was hired for them to work with this one player. And I got over there and I worked with this guy, and it was a really, really fun experience working with him. And the reason why I say that is because he got better. So I was like, oh wow, what I do actually works. So he got better. And you guys remember Wang Juju?
I
Yeah,
do.
So he's
I
the
yeah.
do.
second Chinese guy, but technically he was the first Chinese guy to play in the
Hmm.
NBA. And so Wang was in China. So I was working with this player to get him ready for their version of like the Pan Am Games,
Okay.
where it's just in their country, the different provinces will compete against each other, like the Olympics. So and he played for the Chinese Army team, and this kid was playing for the Liaoning Tigers. Um, And so I see Wong over there, and he and I had a good relationship. And he's like, Doyle, what are you doing here? And I told him why I'm here. He said, that kid's a good player. He said, you're going to help him. And I go, yeah, I hope so. So the first game, the Liaoning Tigers played against the Chinese Army team, which Wong played on. So this kid was like 6'9", about 225, could shoot it, kind of like a Dirk Nowitzki almost.
Okay.
Right? More athletic, but like Dirk. And first he got the ball. He would always just jack up a shot. And I kept telling him, I'm not a basketball coach, but I saw enough to know, like, hey, don't jack up the shot. Pump fake, one dribble, dunk it. Two dribbles, dunk it. He gets in the game, first play, pumps fakes a guy flies by, he takes two dribbles, he dunks it. Wong runs by the bench. He goes, Doyle, good job. He said, and he tells me after the game, he said that kid wouldn't have never done that. You gave him confidence. So they wanted to hire me after that. I didn't want to go back.
No? You didn't
no? No, they wanted me to come back and be the strength coach for the whole team. So in order to save face, I told my agent, I said, I need this much money to go back, which I knew they would have never paid me. If they would have paid me that, I had no choice but to go. But I knew then, I was like, they'll never pay me that. And he goes, you're right, they won't. I said, well, just tell them that's my price for the whole team and just to save face. And they said, no, thanks. But every summer for like 5 summers, they would call me. Would you come out? Would you come out? And I just told them no. But every summer I would see their coaches. They would come out here to scout the summer league for players. So I would go out to dinner with them. They would call stuff. So yeah, it was fun. It was cool.
Nice.
The nastiest place I ever been to, but it was fun.
That's cool. That's real cool.
Yeah.
That's real cool. Well, before we wrap up, I want to verbally say, and I know Dorian too, thank you. You mentioned how you've helped so many kids, and I want to say for me, it was so cool to go to so many Clipper games, but to interact with the players and to go in the locker room and to see stuff that I wouldn't normally see. And Dorian told me, he was like, yeah, Johnny left us tickets and we can go. And it was just the most amazing, win or lose, because we knew most of the time they were losing.
Right.
The experience, like Dorian and I, we met Keon Dueling. We saw him at Panda Express, and we started knowing the players' wives. Like, we were a part of the team. So verbally, I want to thank you for that experience, because I'll never forget that ever in my life.
That's cool.
For sure.
You know what, Kyle? Somebody,
go ahead.
Somebody my friend Clive, he was my mentor. He said to me one time, I told him, thank you for what he did for me. He said, don't thank me, repay it.
Okay.
He told me that. So that was my repayment.
Okay. And we got to do the same
then, for the people underneath us, for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm gonna tell one story though that me and Kyle always laugh about. It was one time, I don't know if you had hit me late or I hit you up late about going to a game. It was it was like a Clippers Portland game or something. I don't even remember what year it was or whatever.
Yeah.
So me and Kyle just became so accustomed to the seats that you would give us.
Spoiled.
So we got the tickets at will call. We didn't even look at the tickets. We already knew we were sitting down.
We talking to people in the section. Hey.
They knew you guys. They were regulars.
Yeah. The lady stopped us like, I'm sorry, your tickets are up there. We like, up there. Literally, our seats were up by the jerseys. Like, and me and Kyle was like, we gonna whoop Johnny ass.
Hey, Johnny, we was up there with Gail Goodrich jersey and Magic. They hanging up in the in the you still included the locker room access, or for us to go. That was the funniest. But
it was just so funny because we just got so used to just going to sit where we usually sit.
Oh, that's hilarious.
At one time, the lady was like, "Nah, y'all up there," and I was
not today.
Like, not us.
Yeah, not
She said,
today.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
funny.
But
It's,
we were still grateful to be in the building.
yeah.
So like
Absolutely.
it was just
We
all
had a.
jokes. It was all jokes. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
Oh,
cool.
that
it
was
was a
one of the
great
funniest
experience.
things.
It was. Do you have any before we have a segment that we're gonna leave you with, and then we'll be done. But do
Okay.
you have any funny experiences with any players, Clippers or non-Clippers that you could think of that stands out? Just one. Just one moment. I mean, put you on the spot like that.
No. You're not putting. I'm just, man. It's a lot of stuff, man. It's like I don't know if this is funny or not, but I remember one time during the draft, we were like in the war room, and Bill Fitch was the coach, and there's a couple of good assistant coaches, nice guys, really nice guys. I'm not gonna say their names, but nice
Okay.
guys. And
Okay.
Fitch goes around the room and he's asking us, who should we draft? And he wanted to pick Eric Dampier, which he kept calling him Eric Dampier. He kept calling him that. But anyway, so we all said who we wanted, and we all agreed on the same guy. And he got pissed, like pissed, and he kicked us out of the war room.
What?
So it was just him, Elgin, and the owner. And he kicked us out, cussing us out, get the F out. You guys don't know what you're talking about. We said, well, he's making a big mistake taking that guy. Actually, I'm going to tell you who the pick was. Kobe Bryant.
Wow.
We wanted Kobe, and he said no. We took Lorenzen Wright. Nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy. Nice
Another
guy.
one. Another one.
Decent player. But we all were adamant we have to take Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant came in and it was the best workout we saw ever. Like unbelievable workout. I mean, it's legend. Like I'm gonna have to send you guys this clip. I gotta find it, but a friend of mine sent me the clip. And it was the most unbelievable workout ever. He's 17 years old. And the reason why Fitch didn't want to take him, because he said he's young and we will have to play him. Like whoever we draft got to play today.
Yeah, that's good.
He's not ready. He said he's not ready yet. He's so raw. So we didn't take him. So he kicks us out of the war room. And one of the coaches comes out and he kicks the water cooler, and the big sparkling water cooler flew up in the air, and water went everywhere, like all over the place. He goes in his office, he slams the door, you hear all this rustling. He grabs his briefcase, he grabs all of his stuff, and he walks out, and there's this big glass mirror, and Fitch is sitting there, and he goes, you guys, I'm out of here. He quit on the spot. And we're like this. I said, what are you going to do? He said, I don't have a job. I don't care. I don't want to be a part of this. And he leaves. And that was like my first, that might have been my first year, second year. So I've never experienced anything like that. And it was kind of weird. And another quick story is Larry Brown was the coach when I interned, and he would walk up to me. He's the nicest guy. He always treated me nice. But he walked up to me one time. He goes, you have tickets for the game? Nobody went to the games at the sports arena. It'd be like 500 people there. You could go meet everybody at the game before the game. You go shake their hands. And he goes, hey, you have tickets for the night? I go, no, coach, I don't have any tickets. He gives me 4 tickets. I don't look at them. I call my boys up. Hey, I got tickets for you guys. Come to the game. Leave my will call. So I'm sitting behind the bench. My boys come walking down. They're sitting on the floor.
Oh, damn.
So I'm like, oh. And then Coach Brown looks back. He goes, those your buddies? I go, yeah. He said, tell them I got them next game too. I said, okay, cool.
That's awesome.
He said, and then he goes, I'm cool rolling through the neighborhood, right? I said, yeah, you good. They got you, Coach. Don't worry. I said, red 500 SEL convertible, right? He goes, yeah. I said, you good. Don't worry.
I gave Coach a pass. Okay. That's those are great stories. Those are great. Thank you.
Yeah, man,
Thank
those
you
are
for
awesome.
that. Damn, that's cool. All right. Well, before we get out of here, Johnny, we play a quick game with our guests. It's called Rapid Fire 24 Seconds. And I'm just gonna ask you a question, and you just pick one or the other. So for
Okay.
instance, I'll say cat or dog, and you just pick whichever one you want out of the two.
Okay.
Very
All right.
simple. So we're gonna
Cool.
start now. Old Clippers logo or new Clippers logo?
New.
Rather live in Costa Rica or China?
Costa Rica.
Corey Maggette or Elton Brand?
Corey.
Sports Arena, Staples Center?
Staples.
Adidas or Reebok?
Adidas.
Keon Dooling or Oral Boykins? I already know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Keon.
yeah.
I'm going with Keon.
Yeah, okay,
Keon.
okay. Las
Yeah.
Vegas or Los Angeles?
Definitely Vegas right now.
Yeah. Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out?
Wow, you went there.
Yep.
In-N-Out, because In-N-Out, the fries are better.
Okay. Chris Ford or Alvin Gentry?
Alvin.
Clippers or Lakers?
Well, I have an admission, guys.
Okay.
I've always been a Laker fan.
Of course.
Oh,
I already knew that was
okay. That's not a problem.
I always knew that.
I was a Clipper fan on the 5th and the 20th payday.
That's it.
I feel that.
When the checks cleared. Treadmill treadmill or elliptical?
Elliptical.
And the last one, Michael Olowokandi or Vince Carter?
Vince Carter, without a doubt.
Well, look, they were in the same draft. Y'all could have taken Vince. I don't know what y'all was doing.
Could have took Vince too. Yeah. Hey,
that was
there were so many.
You go for a job interview. You're gonna wear your best suit. You're gonna say the right things. You're gonna shave that day. Olowokandi did that.
No.
He sold the interview. That's what he did.
Well, no.
There were so many moves the Clippers made where I was just like, why?
It was tough for doing.
If you did that, imagine what we were doing.
No, I know. I mean, hearing your stories, I was right there with y'all.
It explains it all. It explains. Well, thank you. We thank you, Johnny, for sitting down with us, allowing us to interview you, and giving us great stories over the last couple of years that you with the Clippers. You dropped some gems on us. It was a good time. So thank you again for being part of our podcast.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me. And I'm just like, well, how come these guys haven't had me on yet? If it wasn't for me, you guys probably wouldn't even have a podcast.
Right.
You're right. So that's why we wanted to get everything set up, not just the audio, but the video. We wanted the people to see you.
I got you. Got you.
And we wanted to kind of have like a different format to where we weren't just trying to talk about what was going on like within the game right now. But we wanted to bring on people that were not players, so other people get an opportunity to hear the stories that you told today. And we didn't want to rush it, and we felt like right now was like the best time to have you on.
No, it's cool. I'm just giving you guys a hard time.
I know.
And I'm extremely proud of you guys. You guys turned out to be, good men and fathers and husbands, and that's cool. That's really, 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 really cool. And you guys keep your nose to the grindstone like you've been doing. And part of the reason why I kind of connected and was drew to you guys was because I saw a lot of you guys, a lot of me and you guys. So so you guys, keep doing what you're doing, and don't ever think that for a minute that if you something you dreaming or working on and it won't happen. You got to keep working, and it's gonna happen. And I'm a prime example of that. And I just said that yesterday to my mother. So don't ever think that anything you guys put your minds to, because you guys are two bright brothers. So don't ever think that you can't do it. You just got to be patient. It'll come. All right.
Thank you, man.
Right.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. We really do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. No worries.
All right. Well, we're signing off. Old Man Ross, sweatsuits and fly kicks.
It's D Hill, the gift card bandit.
All right. And spread love and not hate.
Get in the gym, shoot some jumpers, at least about 8.
All right.
We
God
out of
bless.
here,
Thank
guys.
y'all. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you, Johnny.
All right, later, guys. Take care.
All right.